Saddle up your horses.
Patter. Let's get at her. It is another episode of the Mainly Broncos podcast. Brandon is not wearing sunglasses because he just had like a late eye doctor appointment and he just got dilated. No, it's just it's a little bit hard to see, so he's got some sunglasses on. It's either that or he's impersonating Mario for another episode of Altitude Adjustment.
Oh, boys. The future's too bright. Can't see.
Thank you.
I'd also like to point out that I'm not wearing them because I'm a douchebag who wears sunglasses at night inside.
I always find that like sometimes
that ain't it.
I was gonna say I always find that sometimes like so funny, like when players would like wear sunglasses in a very like dark setting, and it's in an interview. You know, it's like, what's the whole point of wearing sunglasses? Like if you're at a poker table, I would understand that, right? Like if you're at a poker table, I would somewhat understand that.
I have a terrible poker piece. I gotta bring these with me everywhere I go.
Yeah. Well, first things first, make sure you hit the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page over there on YouTube. As we've been going over multiple times, that we have a subscribe button, as we said, and then there is a join option. And there are 3 different options that you can select, and you can do a membership for 3 different versions of that membership. It is all up to you. We are not forcing it on you, so the decision is entirely yours. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for the Manly Broncos page as well. And, of course, follow the boys. Follow Jordan at Jordan T. Lopez. And also follow Brandon Miller, P.O., no relation to the basketball player, the NBA basketball player, who goes by the name of Brandon Miller.
Full relation.
No relation whatsoever. So, by the way, you know, it's funny, Brendan, you and I were like, you do talk about how you get tagged, you know, in, you know, possible like tweets of the NBA basketball player. What do you think the actual probability is that the basketball player gets tagged in like a message or something that you actually put out there, but it got misinterpreted by said person, and he ends up tagging the NBA basketball player? How many times do you think that has actually happened?
0%.
I would not say it's not 0. I would say it's really low though.
0%. 0%. There's only one Brandon Miller that looks like I do.
I don't know.
You and
they know the difference.
Like,
especially with the shades on.
yeah.
Like, yeah. I don't know. You doing good, Jordan? You doing good? Obviously, you got a game tomorrow. So you got your Sean Payton on that, in case David Webb leaves for another job here, we may be having Jordan here scribble up some plays here for Sean Payton as his audition date for Davis Webb, to ensure that we can get Marvin Mims on the field and, you know, maybe less Pat Bryant, unfortunately, I guess. But no, he'll be he's concocting plays, if you will, for his basketball team tomorrow.
Yeah, I was just showing Cam. I have my own little play sheet I'll be filling out soon. So, but I'll be more focused on the pod than this, I promise you.
Speaking of basketball in any form whatsoever, did you see Taco Bell is bringing back the quesarito tomorrow, aka the infamous ad that was playing when Nikola Jokic was drafted?
I did, and I actually saw.
I feel like I have to be obligated to get one as I'm going down to the Nuggets game tomorrow.
Well, I was gonna say, and as I did, like I noticed that they actually put his like draft thing in there, right? Like,
oh yeah, it's a nod to him.
Yeah, so I thought that was pretty good. Like I thought that was pretty clever. But no, it's it's gonna be fun. Obviously, it's a fun time for Denver sports in general. Frankly, this is it's the best opportunity that I can recall that Denver sports has been this good for a little bit. Because I mean, like there was the point in time where maybe the Avs were kind of going through it. They were pretty solid, but they maybe weren't this good, if you will. The Nuggets were just kind of beginning their saga, if you will, with Nikola Jokic. With like the Yusef Nurkic years, like the beginning of the Yusef Nurkic years, Emmanuel Mudiay, like the first part of the Jamal Murray years, right? Like, so like we're just getting started. But no, like now that we're like at our heyday, like this is peak stuff when it comes to Denver sports.
We don't talk about the Rockies.
No,
other than Bruno, which is the Rockies' new nickname, because we don't talk about Bruno.
They have a new nickname.
It's just peak time to be a Denver sports fan.
Yeah, it is ultimately peak. And so it seems fitting that for Jordan's connection to be bad, that he's also a Celtics fan. So he's not exactly a Nuggets fan. So
yes, that is why our podcast is named mainly Broncos. You're in the wrong place.
Yeah, you are definitely in the wrong place. I gotta start with the obvious, which is, in this game, which frankly, what more do the Broncos have to prove?
Win
like
a Super Bowl. Prove that you can win a Super Bowl. That's literally it.
But again, like every single game, right? Like every single game has a qualifier. Every single game has something that is an if, and I understand that this is something that happens with really kind of any team, but it's always a qualifier. The Denver Broncos are a good team if, they won this game, but, like there's always a qualifier when it happens to this team. And what I think is so disingenuous with this team is people can't really maybe take into account the fact that the stuff that we've seen in even sometimes even small glimpses has happened, but it's just like they refuse to, recognize the fact that stuff has actually happened, or that they just are so blinded by what they are seeing by draft profiles, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, or just this team in general, where they just refuse to accept the fact that this Denver Broncos team clearly has shown signs of this before. I say all of this because, like, the Broncos had this game against the Packers, and obviously there's this whole notion of Bo Nix had the best game of his career, which, again, I'm not disagreeing with that. It's just when they say and they start defining it, which is he has the best game of his career, but we've never seen him at an elite processor moment before. We've never seen him we've never seen him actually make plays out of the pocket like this. We've never actually seen him do this things and this things and this things. And it's like, we've seen it. We have quite literally seen it in games. It's not been full games, but it's been in moments, and so specifically from like the first 4 or the last 4 weeks, if you will, we are seeing at something that is a high level clip of quarterback play and team play that we have not seen from the Denver Broncos as of right now.
There's a pretty clear reason for that, in my opinion. It's because they don't watch the games. Clearly, they don't watch the games because people still think Deshaun Hamilton is on this roster.
That was awesome.
So clearly,
I don't know if he was trolling or not.
No, there's no way, dude. They just don't watch the games. They don't know. So, like,
awesome.
They put out something that's like clickbait because it's clickbaity and gets likes that Bo Nix to talk about Bo Nix in a negative way because of him playing in college, which was, a while ago at this point, and also an entirely different just situation in general in terms of like comparing pros to college, but they just don't watch the games. And I almost can't blame them because there's no way that anyone has time to watch every single game even if it's like, I guess if it's like your full-time job, maybe. No, I can limit them a little bit because we have the best record in the NFL. So why wouldn't you watch our games? Because you want to see
Right.
how that's happening. But yeah, they don't watch the games. That's it. It's that simple.
I mean, I think one of them admitted on Twitter that, hey, I didn't watch the Raiders game. And he was like an analytical guy. I forgot who
That was
it was.
Deontay Lee, I think. Yeah, he
Yeah,
had his
I mean,
own
it's been so many that
Good
I've
Raiders
lost
game.
count.
issues.
Yeah, I've lost count with the amount of people on social media, but they legit don't watch the game. So I think it's been kind of easy just to like single them out and not really pay them any attention. But again, most of the people that bring up like EPA and all these acronyms and stuff like that, I also tend to ignore them just because there is you're not going to tell me Spencer Rattler's a better quarterback than Bo Nix just because of EPA. Like if you just watch the game, you can clearly tell that not only is Bo Nix better than Spencer Rattler. I know a lot of people don't want to hear this, but Bo Nix is in the MVP conversation, whether you like it or not. So at the end of the day, Bo Nix is going to continue to do what we know he can do, what we've been seeing for the past 2 seasons now, because as we're ending the regular season, it'll be 2 seasons. So I think we all know what we have in Bo. He's without a doubt our franchise guy. I don't know when and if we have to stop continue to say this, but he is our guy. So I think that can be put to bed for sure.
Look, I will fully admit that I was very critical of Bo Nix in this season.
Yeah.
I will eat that. I will eat the crow all day long. They sold out. That was top 5 quarterback play. Just that's it. Full stop. That was ridiculous. That was so good. Yeah, it was the best game of his career. And there were times that he showed glimpses and flashes of that, but him putting it all together, and he's been on this trajectory since week 11. He's just been a completely different quarterback, but that was just so telling in terms of there is a ceiling that goes beyond what honestly I think anyone even thought. Definitely not myself, and I think a lot of people that watched him at all coming out, and he's definitely looked. He's had flashes. He's looked good. In spurts, he looked very not good in spurts, but you haven't seen him do that before. And I cannot remember what coach said this. It might have even, I don't think it was Sean Payton. I don't remember who said this, but there was a coach that kind of, I wouldn't say famously, but it's a fairly well-known quote, came out when he was talking about evaluation and coaching a player. And he said, if I see you do it once, if I see him do it once, I can coach him to do it again. Right. So just the fact that he performed at that level, I'm not saying he's always going to perform at that level, but just that just changes things. Even if we lost, that would change things. But that was just insane.
Well, and it really is something, because it's you look at because I think you see layers of that and levels of that specifically in those fourth quarter comebacks, right? Specifically situations that you can't explain, what you are actually seeing, which is truly dominant quarterback play on full, on full display. Again, I kind of come back to that, the one that was so hard to quantify was the Giants comeback. That was something I had never really seen before, from not just the overall aura magic of the moment and scoring 33 points, etc., in the fourth quarter, but just the way it performed, right? The way it happened, it was something where it was exploding onto a quarter, and it just was infectious to every single play, every single moment, that happened. And that happens when you have a franchise quarterback, right? And that's the kind of thing that happens. And I think that for when you see that kind of thing, it is so infectious as a team, and it has trickled down now to everybody because every P's and Q's for a player, whether it be a Michael Bandy or a little Jordan Humphrey, they have to raise the level of their play because of number 10, who's behind center. And frankly, right now, like the Broncos really are humming at such a really good moment of the season argumentatively, they could have afforded to lose that game, right? They could have afforded to lose that game, but they didn't, and just to kind of jump a little bit into this game, because we'll talk more about Bo too as the game is going on and everything. But like, I wanted to lead it off with that just because of the respect, and that it's could be a theme, if you will, throughout the show. We may not necessarily reference it too much, if you will, but it's just a theme, as we kind of go on with the show. But like that Packers and Broncos game really was such a fantastic game, like a fantastic football game. But it also, I think, kind of showed you that the defense figured things out, right? Like it kind of figured things out where that first half was a bit rough, right, for the defense. It was everything that we have been seeing the last handful of weeks. But in that second half, it's like the light switch went on for the defense, and you saw a complete and utter beatdown of offense and defense when it came to the Green Bay Packers and Denver Bronco game, where they shut them out and outscored them 20-3 at after one of the biggest moments of the game. So it was a very impressive performance for the Denver Broncos on Sunday.
I mean, you talked about it on the defensive side. It's kind of crazy that for the past several weeks, I've had more faith and confidence in the offense, the defense, and they were getting absolutely just obliterated in that first half. Like, it was bad. And then they did seem to do something where they kind of figured it out at halftime. But if you see, like, if you get, the beginning of the year defense, and like, I'm not even saying you need to have Green Bay Bo Nix, but like, let's say that you do even like once, you win a Super Bowl with that. Like, even if he's 80% of Green Bay Bo Nix and you have the defense that you had in the beginning of the year, you can win the Super Bowl. Like, that's what we're talking about now.
No, yeah, I agree. The fact that it was a game where you really can't say, because everybody loved to say in prior games that the defense won the game for the Broncos, not really Bo Nix. And that's all we heard about the previous wins. You can't say that about this one. The Broncos defense, again, struggled a bit. I know in the second half they stepped up big time, but it wasn't the usual defense that we're accustomed to, especially in the beginning of the year when we saw them. They've been going through their rough patches, which every unit does throughout the whole season. Not every season for every team is going to be absolutely perfect. There's going to be adversity. The defense is going through their rough patches right now, just like how the offense did in the beginning of the season, even towards the middle of the season. But the defense, again, had their fair share of struggles. Bo Nix, throughout the whole game, just clean, efficient, poised. I mean, literally got that Broncos the W. And what was even better is that it was one of the most watched games of the year. So I'm glad that everybody got to see that firsthand, because it is one thing to read about it and read all the BS that's on social media. It's another thing to see it. And a lot of people saw it. And I'm just glad the way Bo Nix played and the way he conducted himself on the field, off the field, it was perfect.
They were the overdogs, right? They were the overdogs. It's going to be probably the biggest theme. I'm really tempted to get a T-shirt. Obviously,
did you see what that benefits?
Yep,
I saw two. That's actually.
So cool.
Denver Rescue Mission is what it benefits from the Bo Nix website.
Is there another one?
There's another one. It's called. It's a pretty comfortable tee. It's Breaking Tee. The T-shirt company, and they have a T-shirt called "We Are the Overdogs." But oh, by the way, like, there's
what is that one? Does that one benefit anything?
No, but like, I was just gonna say, there's other T-shirts over on was going to say Bo Nix's site that you could purchase it. It's not just the
Does have a website, which I just learned about.
just now.
It's shopbonex.com.
Yeah.
I just saw
Trust
that.
me,
yesterday,
Jordan.
too.
I've
That's
thought
big.
about it.
Yeah.
The t-shirts look crazy. Yeah, I've already thought about it. Yeah, it was pretty crazy. People were saying that this was a really good matchup, and then when we won, they said, "Yeah, the Packers aren't that good." Remember that one famous comment that kind of like rolled in before, like a couple days before, was like, they got to face, Bo Nix, if you will.
Yep.
And it was the dancing Giannis.
Yeah, that really. I'm sorry. What?
Yeah.
The dancing who?
The dancing like Giannis.
Giannis?
Yeah, Giannis.
Like Brandon was really offended by that.
It's Giannis.
I've never heard anyone pronounce his name that way.
I just had to see if you're paying attention.
Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, well, dude, he did kind of.
Oh, he walked right in.
Walked it back. Well, he did, but he did kind of own it afterwards. He was like, "Man, I was trolling them all week, and their field killed 5 of our players."
Yeah.
I mean, I guess respect, sort of, but take that L on the way out.
Yeah. But I gotta say though, I want to. We'll spend our good deal about the offense, but I want to actually give the defense its due, because they really weren't doing much, and I believe it was it the Sleeper Broncos account that found that that they were defending Love on a rather decent amount when it comes to zone defense, which is something that he had struggled with, in his time. And I believe it was like mostly in that second half, right? Like, and it was like mostly into that second half, and they were bottling him up left and right. So I have to give a lot of credit to Vince Joseph here, and specifically the defense, because they really. It is just one of those rare quarterbacks where he's gonna get his. You just got to figure out a way to bottle him up in a bottle, so that you aren't exactly looking at a situation where, he's doing all this playmaking in and outside of the pockets, right? Like, so you got to make sure that he's, being a little bit aggressive as much as he can, and doing so, you got to really create a lot of that pressure, right? So, kudos to the Broncos for really stepping up into that second half. Because they really weren't getting into Love at all.
No, I mean, it kind of looked like, I don't know, the pass rush just was not getting there at all, which was kind of surprising. It feels like similar to kind of what we talked about before, where the first half of the other defense kind of just looked insane, and Bo was more middling, and then they kind of flipped the script on both accounts, and Bo is carrying the team, and the defense kind of is but they did seem to sort of get it together in the second half. I just want to see now the pass rush kind of go back to being the super dominant unit that it was. And like, I mean, I think they got Love like 3 times at the end. So it was a true reversal of it was the Uno reverse card of the offense and the defense, where the offense looks kind of bad for 3 quarters and turns it on in the fourth, and then the defense just kind of did that same thing.
Yeah, it was. By the way, I know we're talking about defense now. I would when we needed a play on defense, who else but the reigning defensive player of the year, with one of the more incredible interceptions that we have seen in a while. Again, I think he's still battling through that torn, or I don't know if it was torn, but that pec injury that he had. The fact that he made that play and then we scored on that turnover, that's the biggest part, because the Broncos were known for several years of getting turnovers but not really capitalizing on it. the fact that we have two franchise players, the fact that one of them got the interception and then the other one converted and scored it tells you a lot about that's the story of the season right now, I think, in my opinion. Like if I were to define that, it would be just that. The defense for 3 quarters, right? In the beginning of the season and in the middle of the season going off, and then Bo Nix in the fourth taking over. I think that was a perfect description. Just if I can make it up in 2 drives, that interception by PS2 and then Bo Nix converting on that touchdown. It was absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
That was one of the best defensive plays I've seen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In recent memory, at the very least.
You know what's interesting? Like it goes to show you why players like that are arguably the best defensive, player in the game, or, the best elite players at that make those kind of plays. And I want to even call into remembrance too, because the Green Bay Packers make it a priority. They make it a priority to go for the kill shot at least once, maybe even twice sometimes in games, right? And I think that the best part that really happened in this game was the Broncos defense, for as much as it was, a bit leaky and lackadaisical, if you will, in that first half, they didn't sleep on the fact that, okay, they challenged us, right? Like they challenged us to go for the kill shot earlier in the game, right? Like we all remember, like Jordan Love tried to do that little play action fake and deep shot down the field where he overthrew, I believe it was a Dobbs or someone. It wasn't Christian Watson, but they overthrew, or maybe it'd have been Wicks, but like he overthrew the wide receiver by a decent margin, and then they stopped the Denver Broncos on that, the 4th down. They get the ball back. And then the Broncos kind of did a bit of a change-up, right? Like they did a bit of a change-up. They decided to flip it and put Pat Surtain on Christian Watson, right? Put him on Christian Watson, and Watson kind of had him beat for just a second, right? On that play. And then Wazirike created enough pressure on that stunt to, force it a little bit on Jordan Love. And then Jordan Love gets the ball relatively there, right? Like relatively there. And Surtain literally jumps like Air Surtain, in the air and intercepts that pass. And it was at that moment where it was the first glimpse of Packers fans that were like, oh, wow, that felt like game. Right, like that felt like it was the first instance for Packers fans that was just like, oh, that was curtains. Like it was like the curtains came calling on that first type of play, and when it came to the injury of Christian Watson, who great talent. Watson's a great talent, but it is unfortunate the amount of injuries that he battles in his short career right now. But huge moment of the game.
Yeah, I mean, that was like pretty much the turning point, in my opinion. Up until that point, it was not looking great for a Broncos victory, and just makes that play. Unfortunately, Christian Watson gets injured. Hate to see that, but that was just an insane play by Pat Surtain. Unfortunately, like Riley Moss continues to be on the receiving end of the NFL referees and probably has a legitimate case to sue them. But other than that, he did play really well, and he had that redemption interception, which was awesome later in the game. But yeah, that was just insane play by PS2. Sucks that Christian Watson got injured. It also sucks that Micah Parsons got injured, although I continue to see a bunch of people saying that the Packers were destroying us until that happened, and it was like 23-20 or something. But at the time when he got injured, so
it happened maybe a play earlier, a couple plays earlier with the Christian Watson injury possibly, but that was like domino 2, right? Like that was domino 2 was the Parsons injury, but Well, and like that's the thing, right? Like that is everything that we've been saying before we dive in a little bit into um the offense here is just like everything that we have been wanting for this defense, and that's why I'm just like I really want to give the defense its due because like they had that second half that is everything that we've been wanting for in terms of the combination with this offense, and that it was getting to the quarterback, bottling up everything, for the quarterback, creating a lot of the pressure, getting at him, and getting the turnovers, right? Like creating the turnovers. And that has been the biggest thing in that second half was getting those turnovers and getting them at such key moments of the game, right? Like getting those turnovers and winning the turnover battle was massive as it turned out in that second half.
Yeah.
No, yeah, I agree. I mean, I think overall, by the way, because I know this is going to slip my mind again, but did you hear a certain someone on the worldwide leader say that the reason why Michael Parsons got hurt?
Yes.
I think he meant that as a compliment, but it was delivered very strangely.
Very poorly.
He did
very
not word it correctly.
Strangely, very poorly, very. I mean, that was. Yeah, I had my thoughts on that, but anyways, yeah. In terms of the performance, like what you guys were talking about, I thought in the second half, especially, it was almost near flawless, and again, Vance Joseph, I think it was back-to-back weeks where first half struggled a little bit, but second half adjustments were just great. It happened again with his Packers game. I mean, I'm hoping Vance stays, but more likely than not, he is leaving for his second stint for a head coaching job. And I wish him nothing but the best. But Vance right now has been great on defense.
It's okay though. As we said earlier, Jordan has been crafting plays for his audition. So in case
he's ready.
He's ready. He's got his play sheet ready to hand over to Sean Payton in case Vance Joseph leaves, or in case Jim Leonard doesn't end up getting the job. Gosh, what more can you even say about the offense, right? Like, what more could you even say about the offense? I mean, they did everything you could have asked for as a game, and I think the other side of this, when we preface it at the beginning about the respect or even the ideas of there's some areas where it's happened before, so why aren't we necessarily acknowledging some of the opportunities where it has happened before? And when I reference that, what I'm talking about is that this isn't really the first time the offense has kind of gone toe to toe with an offense, whether it's like a Cleveland Browns, like I understand on Monday night, but it's just like it still quantifies as a shootout. So this isn't like the first time that the offense has gone toe to shootout. You could argue they didn't win in a shootout, but they actually the playoff Cincinnati Bengals last year. Obviously they didn't go, but they lost in overtime, but they went toe to toe with those Bengals in Cincinnati, forcing overtime. So like everything that you want to see out of the young quarterback, he's been able to perform at that high level and that offense. So they did that, right? Like, and they did that. And before we touched a little bit on the quarterback, but like, I just thought the other areas of this were stellar. Everybody that was not just, number 10, everybody had a good portion of a game on this offense, Brandon and Jordan. It was like the wide receiving corps, you could argue, had the best game of even their lives. Bo Nix had the best game of their life, of his life. The wide receiver room had the best day of their lives. Everybody in that room played exceptionally well.
I think I would say, I don't know if I'd say that was the best Cortland Sutton game because he's put together some good ones. He was good. I mean, I do think consistency-wise, that was probably the best Troy Franklin game. That was the best game of Jordan Lopez's arch enemy. He who shall not be named. His name rhymes with Lil Jordan. And then I think that was somewhat of a redemption game for Michael Bandy for muffing that punt.
Ring of
earlier
Fame
this
moment.
season.
But that's
Yeah, Ring of
nuts. Like, it's hilarious. Like, I'm reading these stuff on social media, like, oh, like the best situations between like the 2024 class, and then here's just Bo Nix against the Green Bay Packers, everybody's Super Bowl darlings, and he's throwing touchdown passes and winning the game with little Jordan Humphrey and Michael Bandy. Right? Like, it's crazy. But listen, I even wrote about it before the Packers game. Troy Franklin struggles. I was not overly worried as many people were, and he bounced back in a big way. I still think he gets the short end of the stick from the fan base. Again, just my opinion, but I do think that a lot of people, criticize him.
Yeah.
They criticize him for right reasons, but also for wrong reasons as well. But I thought Troy showcased his potential once again. I thought he had a great game. Sutton finally found his stride, had a great game. I will admit, little Jordan Humphrey did look good for bits and pieces of that game as well. And then Michael Bandy, that was a great run, even though Bo got the defender to bite down on him, which was perfect. He did that earlier in the season with a pass to Pat Bryant, actually. Got his defender to bite on him and then got the receiver wide open. So, again, I am not overly worried about the wide receiver room in terms of Sutton and Franklin. I think their ebbs and flows will come. I think I'm kind of used to it at this point. I like the way Marvin Mims played. I just wish he was utilized earlier and more often.
Yeah.
I do think that we're still going to need him.
Yeah. But I just, the way that I would just say it is just like, it was the best we had seen. Like it felt like everybody was playing at such a high level. And I think that, when you look at it, and maybe this is just a microcosm of what the wide receiver room and specifically their quarterback has just done so well in terms of and I don't mean like a full game, because we actually haven't necessarily seen a full game where the Broncos, are in structure and out of structure, where you're seeing a quarterback really do all the scrambling around and make some really dynamic throws in structure, that is very Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, any of those elite quarterbacks in this day and age of the NFL make some of these plays, right? Like it was really just like a moment where like, oh wow, this really all came together. Like obviously we said we've seen moments of it, but I think what has made this wide receiving group so unique and special is a trait, which is scramble drill. Like they obviously will do a few things well, and there's some pieces here and there that I think that they can definitely add to the room, but scramble drill, this team is so elite with scramble drill. It is unbelievably, and it's not just scramble drill, but just keeping their eyes up on a swivel, right? Like keeping eyes up on a swivel for moments when Bo, has to throw up and, hit a pass, to Troy Franklin and everything too.
I want to just comment on this. I'm not picking on this commentary because I have seen this for quite a bit. I did recently just read from a Hall of Fame coach talking about teams going into the playoffs, winning 1-score games in comparison to like blowing out teams. It is way more sustainable to beat teams on a 1-score possession than it is to blow out teams going into the playoffs. Because in the playoffs, there are going to be no blowouts. Again, these are playoff teams. These are very rarely you're going to get a blowout. The majority of the games are going to be 1-score games. And the way the Broncos have been winning, is sustainable. I 100% agree with that. I mean, coaches, everybody that has been in the league say it, and I know. Again, I thought like this as well. That I thought, hey, like you can't always win one score games, but the more you do, I mean, the more it is. It is very, very sustainable. It is not everything has to be a blowout, because the more and more you blow out teams, the more and more false recognition you get going into the playoffs, because that's just not going to happen.
If you were seeing like situations where they're winning a one-score game because of a ticky-tack penalty or something,
Exactly.
Consistently.
I think that's a different story.
Yeah.
And like, is this the best way to win games? No, but this is how you close out games. Like,
Correct.
Yeah.
if your defense is going to do what it did against the Packers and allow over 400 yards of offense, you better go out there and also give 400 yards of offense, and you better figure it out at the end when it matters, where you get a stop, you get the offense the ball back, and let them go down the field and score a game-winning drive. And then if you in the defense as the defense have to go back out there, then you like do whatever you have to get a stop. And I think this is a necessary step in the development of this team, is to kind of figure out like how to close out games. Look, am I saying again that this is unsustainable? No, I would agree with Jordan. I do think like the way that this is happening, I think you can. This is how playoff games are won, like he had said.
Yep.
But I do think that I don't think it's a permanent issue. I think it's just you got to learn how to close out games, and we're learning how to close out games.
And
like I would say there are some games that it was different. Like the Giants specifically, that was crazy. I'm not taking anything away from like what the offense did in that game, because they also like just gave it their all in every way possible in that fourth quarter. That's not sustainable.
yeah.
But being in the game for most of the game, and when it comes down to it, making the plays that you need to make when it matters, that's football. That's just playoff football.
Well, and what is the biggest thing we have said, or when it comes to this Bronco team, or when it has been at least making the case of why they are the best team in the NFL, it's that every single game, whether it's a bad team, good team, whatever you want to quantify that as. I'm not asking you to quantify good teams, bad teams, whatever. But in these wins that the Broncos have had, they have been battle tested in every single one of those games. And to everything that was outlined, those types of games will make you a better team going forward for the playoffs. And I think that, just to say it one more time again, the fact that this is happening with a second-year team, is only that much more beautiful that it's happening now, because that they can build off of this, and they can build off of this even more and start progressing to where maybe you aren't going to have a 15-2 record, exaggerating, but 15-2 record when it comes to one-score games. But you can have a 6-2 record with a couple wins here and there that get sprinkled where you're winning by 10 and whatever. But like, it just goes to show you that having it now this early in your development will only benefit you in the playoffs and long term for the success of your franchise.
I agree.
So then going on to this offense and going on with the, this team, let's just kind of start out and start handing out some of those game balls, because there is a ton to be thrown around for some games. Brandon, let's start with you, Mr. Coolit, Shades. What is the game ball?
Oh man, see, I don't want to
Take the
be
low
the
hanging
guy
fruit.
that takes everyone else's right off the bat, but I can't not give it to Bo Nix first. But I'm going to do something a little bit different. I'm going to give him the game ball for a specific play, and then if y'all want to give him a game ball, I'm giving you the option to still give him a game ball for something else.
Brandon, you and I know by now.
Because
I don't know about Jordan, but you and I both know
it's fair.
we like to break the rules here on mainly. So, I mean,
we all collectively give him a game ball.
Yeah.
I'm just saying this because I want to talk about this play. The play that he threw the touchdown on to Troy Franklin in the end zone up the seam was the best throw I've ever seen him make. That was ridiculous. Like having to layer that throw in there and fit it like just
Step
above
in the
the underneath defender and step up in the pocket. Oh,
yeah.
Elite. That was just an incredible, incredible throw.
What's crazy is actually
you get a game trophy for that one.
What's crazy is, Jordan and Brandon, is like the amount of people I was hearing talk about that play, from not just the creativity from Sean Payton, and frankly the staff that like for actually installing that and creating that, where you get Franklin out in the motion, and then he runs the I believe it was the post, while I believe I can't remember who the other guy was, Mrs. Sutton or something, was running a corner. So like,
It's a scissor concept,
yeah. But like it was one where, the coverage that the Packers were running was almost like, I think it was Tampa 4, was like almost set up
Tampa
to
2.
where, but like it was set up where it was like perfect coverage for said play. But the only play it was ever going to end up being thrown is it had to be timed perfectly. It had to be thrown in the one spot it needed to be, and it was. And so the amount of like pundits and even quarterbacks that are going through and talking about this play, they drool. Like they actually drool thinking about the fact of like that throw that was made at Troy Franklin.
Yeah, that play was great. The play call was great, and that goes into my game ball. I got to give it to Sean Payton. Man, oh man, called the excellent game. And I know it all starts at practice throughout the week. Got the boys executing what they got to do, knowing their assignments. And on Sunday, I thought he called a great game. And, a team is in rhythm. There was a couple personnel issues in terms of getting it in and getting out and getting the play in. I know Bo voiced his frustration there very vocally on the CBS mic where they caught him. But despite that little hiccup, I thought the play calling and everything that came with it was excellent by Sean Payton. I think right now Sean Payton is hitting a stride right now with Bo Nix.
Would you say it's archaic now, Jordan?
Yeah.
No, would you say it's archaic still?
Archaic? No. No.
That's good. That's good, at least.
It was really good. I like it.
Jordan, my guess is you're going to take the low-hanging fruit, but my guess is our game ball is going to be going to him anyway. So who's your game ball?
Mine was to Sean Payton.
Oh. Yours just okay. Okay. Well, I will take the low-hanging fruit, and I will say that the game ball will and probably should be going to Bo Nix. I mean, one more time again, he does exactly what he needs to do to be putting himself in a conversation of the MVPs. And the last 4 weeks, he has done everything that he can, putting him and this team on his back to win these games. I mean, coming out of the bye week, at that point in time, that Chiefs game was the biggest game that they had ever had in the last 10 years. Because of that game, they built off that confidence, and they have really fought hard. And I think one of the things that I thought myself was I don't know if I said it on here, but I would not be surprised if that win that the Broncos had against the Chiefs, based on the magnitude of that moment and coming out of the bye, would not be surprised if the Broncos had looked at that and it jump-started their season again, going forward. And I think at this point, and for what you see between the Commanders game, the Chiefs game, and now this Packers game, which was at that point and that right now was the biggest game they ever had in the last 10 years. They played really well, and Bo played his best game as a Denver Bronco, inserting himself in the most valuable player conversation. I think Paulie Market already has him as the fourth best odds to win in the MVP. FanDuel is already starting to insert his name.
I'm gonna check Hard Rock Bet.
Into the top 5. He has I'm telling you right now, you could call this as a prediction as we wind down. If he plays that way and the way that he has the last 4 weeks with some 3-touchdown games, another 4-touchdown game, or even a 2-touchdown game where the magnitude of said touchdown is leading him to a victory, you will see him be a finalist for the MVP when season's up. He's probably not going to win it, but he will be a finalist.
Bo Nix is he is 4th in the MVP odds on Hard Rock Bet, right behind Josh Allen, Drake May, and Matthew Stafford.
I'm telling you, I think there's a very real chance, if this thing keeps up, that Bo Nix, after all this offseason of Bo Nix being a dark horse MVP candidate, look where we are now. So he is doing a phenomenal job. So low-hanging fruit of Bo Nix is turning into an MVP candidate.
Yep.
I have a different game ball.
Go right ahead, Mr. Shades.
Alongside this game ball, I am also gifting this player a large gift card to whatever the best spray tan place in Denver is. Okay. And that's Riley Moss, because he's too white. He's too white, man. You got to fix that somehow. Stop picking on my boy. He played so well. That was the softest pass interference call I've ever seen in my life. It was so. It was.
Did you see how many people
were
were
softer than Charmin? It was insane. So, take your game ball and go somewhere and get it handled.
Did you see the amount of people that actually were starting to come out and be like, no, that wasn't. I could see why that was pass interference. I could definitely see why that was pass interference. Did you guys see the amount of people?
No, I saw all the people coming out and saying literally every single cornerback in the entire league does that all the time.
I saw one where he is literally grabbing his hand, and it's PI every single time. Right.
I mean, the one that was worse was the Evan Ingram one.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, even Gene Steratore got on and said, by the way, how many times am I going to hear Gene Steratore every week say something that the Broncos got screwed on by an official every single week? I mean, it is getting so annoying, and I love Gene, but these refs have screwed the Broncos week in and week out on some play.
What I was going to say is, or the fact that Jim Nantz was getting a little bit perturbed with the idea that that Tony Romo thought that was not even a penalty, right? Like that specific one, that Romo was getting or Nance was getting a little bit perturbed with the fact that he thought that, well, no, it wasn't a penalty just because he was a bit, in front of the line of scrimmage. And it's like, bro, he's literally holding him by layer of the law. That is a literal penalty of him holding Evan Ingram. And we've seen that be called numerous times before.
At the very least, if it wasn't interference because of like where it was occurring on the field and it wasn't far enough down the field, that was just defensive holding.
Good troll, Grizzly fan. Good troll. When you ever, it's like, when you say no disrespect or no offense. Yeah, you're trolling. Nice one. So, yeah, I gotta
I think
say,
there's a lot of things that have to happen for the Bills to win the AFC, and if you mean get the 1 seed, I don't think that's. I mean,
well,
mathematically it's possible, but
winning the AFC would mean
if you
that they're
mean
going.
if you mean going to the Super Bowl as the AFC team, we'll see. We'll see what happens. Things get crazy in the playoffs, man. You never know.
But
But
no, winning the AFC,
they're probably gonna have to come to Denver, and that's different.
it's a different task than what did they say in draft day? We live in a different world than we did 5 minutes ago, or in this case, 1 year ago. So moving forward with some other game balls.
Also, just to point out, Josh Allen is 0-4 in road playoff games in his career. So
Really?
You don't say.
I actually did not know that.
So you're saying
in his defense, he's had to play like all of them probably at Arrowhead.
so you're saying he's a fraud when it comes to being on the road.
I love Josh Allen.
Oh, I love.
That's a fact.
It's just a crazy stat. Like that is a crazy stat. Sometimes you actually can avoid. Some more game balls. It's hard. It's hard not to give it to Pat Surtain for the interception that he had for just changing really the complexion of that entire game. Changing the complexion of that entire game. It was a key moment of that game. I mean, it was maybe not to the same, maybe not to the same degree, but it almost reminded me a little bit of when the Broncos played the Texans. And I'm talking about this like from a Broncos necessarily like point of view, but it reminded me when the Broncos played the Texans when Russ was quarterback, and it was one where Russ threw that pass, and it was a pretty solid pass, right? Like it was a pretty solid pass to Cortland, and Derek Stingley made that unbelievable interception over the middle part of the field, frankly, around that same part of the field.
Yeah.
Right. And like some point, like the best corners and the best corners in the National Football League are going to be making some unbelievable plays, and Pat Surtain made that unbelievable play, and it was the first domino for the Packers where it really started to kind of settle in that, oh, wow, this game may be off the rails, but our season may end up being off the rails. First domino for him, but yeah. Any other game balls?
I would give one. I know my first one was to Sean Payton, and then I would give my second one to Vance Joseph. I would be giving my 2 game balls to the 2 more prominent coaches that had a great game on Sunday.
Yeah. Vance called a heck of a second half. I mean, he called a second half that was worthy. And so maybe let's transition now into this game against the Jacksonville Jaguars, because I think that the one thing that the Broncos at least have going into this game against Jacksonville is the fact that they played the Green Bay Packers that week prior, right? Because I think there's a bit of some similarities in how they operate offensively, right, with their playmakers and everything that they operate. The only thing that is maybe slightly different is Brenton Strange is a bit of a better tight end than Luke Musgrave. That's about the only thing, because you do have a little bit of some players on the field. Obviously, Timmy P is back in the building. He's returning to Denver. They have Jacoby Myers. They have Brian Thomas Jr., so they do have some decent weapons. But really once you get to the running back core, it's really just Travis Etienne. That's it. It's just Travis Etienne. And then a quarterback that is much to the same level and degree of a Justin Herbert at times, where you see a lot of the high ceiling plays when it comes to the quarterback play, but you also see some head scratching moments in his career. But so far this year, even despite throwing 59% completion percentage, that Lawrence, it seems like he's turned a corner a little bit when it comes to, the Jacksonville Jaguars offense under Cohen.
dude, I know there's going to be so many Jags fans trolling us and hating us all week, but this is going to be a fun game, man. Trevor Lawrence did something. I don't know what he did, but Liam Cohen saved his career because he looks he looks like Clemson Trevor Lawrence. It's kind of crazy. I mean, I will say they haven't played the Broncos in Denver yet, and that's just a different test. But it's going to be a fun game, and the Jags are legit, and Trevor Lawrence looks super good. So this will be yet another fantastic game and a playoff practice, if you will, because this is a playoff game.
Yeah, and also we are facing the Science Stealer and Liam Cohen. Remember that with 49ers and his beef with Saleh. So I'm very interested because the defense has been struggling as of late. I am very, 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 very curious to see how the defense matches up with Liam Cohen and the offense of the Jags. I know Trevor Lawrence can be inconsistent at times, but right now he's sort of on a heater. So I know
he's a different team on the road.
Yeah, he just had a spectacular game last Sunday, Trevor Lawrence. But I do want to see if the Broncos defense still get on that struggle train a bit and then find their rhythm in the second half, or do they put a good 4 quarters out and take care of the Jags offense? I think that's probably going to be the biggest matchup, in my opinion, going into Sunday. Just seeing if the defense can really find their ways of being back to their version of themselves. And listen, I have all the respect for Liam Cohen, and whether he steals signs or not, that's a part of the game. Trying to get the most advantages you can get. And if your signs are that telling that you can see it on tape, I mean, that's on you. So I'm very interested to see that Jags offense versus that Broncos defense.
The one thing I will say just about this game, and again, I just glazed the Jags. I think they're playing well, so this is not me hating on them. You can only play who's on your schedule, but their last 4 games were the Jets, the Colts without Daniel Jones,
yep,
the Titans, and the Cardinals.
Yep.
Those are good football teams.
Yeah. Again, I can't hold that against them. They don't choose that, and they absolutely just murdered those teams. But this is going to be a different game for them, and we'll see what they do. But it's going to be a fun one.
And frankly, a lot of their points per game has gone up because of those last 4 games, right? Because of all the outputs, the outputs, if you will, from those games, right? Like they had a 40-20 game, right, against the Cardinals, or whatever it was, and then they had like a 30. They had like over 30 against the Colts. They just shellacked them. And then they play the Titans, so it's kind of skyrocketed, if you will, for these like last 4 games. But they're a different team on the road, and I don't mean that as a good thing. Like they're just a bit of a worse team when it comes to the road. And I think if there is one thing that would probably be cause for concern if you're a Broncos fan is, well, they have the Houston Texans in their division. Right, so it's not the first time that they played an elite level defense, right? Like it's not the first time that they played an elite level defense.
Oh no, just in the last few games.
But it's one where you can also kind of come down to earth a bit quick. When you've had all of this, this high level play, and then you play a really good defense, and when you kind of come back to it, right? Like, as we were saying, like the Broncos are coming off playing the Packers, which this is roughly the same kind of offense, if you will, that the Packers and Jags have, which is, it's stylistically, some of it's different, but like there's a lot of motion, right? Like there's a lot of motion, getting players open, like it's also feeding players, right? And all, but the biggest thing that's just different is, you have Travis Etienne, he's a pretty decent running back, but he's not Josh Jacobs, right? Like he's not Josh Jacobs, and So, I mean, it's certainly not an offense that you want to lose sleep at night. It's going to, I mean, you want to make sure you're still on your P's and Q's, but I just think that, it's still one where they're a very formidable opponent where you can't sleep on them.
The one other thing I will say about this game that is going to be a major test for Denver is the Jaguars quietly have the best run defense in the league. Like, you cannot run on the Jaguars, and we already struggle to run the ball, so that's going to kind of suck. I will say the biggest takeaway I honestly had against the Packers is as much as he played okay, and talk about RJ Harvey, J.K. Dobbins is missed. But I think it is going to be more of a test on Bo in the passing game. Although, I mean, the Broncos are already, I think they're like at least top 3 in neutral script pass rate, which basically means that like they're throwing a lot. Like they're not relying on running the ball because we can't run the ball regardless anyway. But
they're throwing anyway.
That's just going to be even worse against the Jags. So that'll be interesting to keep an eye on for sure. Is Travis Hunter out?
He is.
Yeah,
he's out for the year.
He's out for the year. I forgot about that.
Yeah,
okay. I haven't really been paying attention to much about the Jags until they started to, pretty much until Trevor Lawrence started to kind of like play out of his mind. But that'll be interesting to see in terms of like, can we get anything going on the ground? Because we already struggle there, and that is definitely the strength of their defense. They give up the fewest rushing yards per game.
Yeah, no, I agree. Also, another thing I'm going to be looking at for the Broncos on the offensive side of the ball, the Jaguars defense don't get that much pressure in the pass game. And obviously, as we all know, the Broncos don't give up any pressures. Thanks to Bo Nix and him getting the ball out quick, and the offensive line not diminishing their talent, but I'm just saying thanks to a lot to Bo Nix and the way he operates as a quarterback. So if we can continue to make that weakness for the Jaguars still a weakness, I mean, that's the last thing you want to do in these games is make your opposing team one of their weaknesses is strength. And that's the last thing we need because the Jaguars are not really good in pressure rate whatsoever. And like you can flip on the other side of the ball. Like the Jaguars offense isn't really good at the short passing game, the quick passing game. If we make that a strength of theirs, then it's going to be a bit troubling. So the more we can keep that a weakness, the better it is.
Yeah. I will say this, though, for somewhat of a rather struggling running team, they still ran the ball somewhat effectively against the top 5 defense in the Packers. So they still ran it rather effectively, meaning RJ Harvey. I mean, I think that you kind of got to have to, give him some credit, give him some due a little bit, when it comes to how well he played. I mean, he played well, so I wouldn't be surprised if, we see a few, scampers and some runs here a little bit. And he did practice in full today.
Quick question. Do you put Surtain on Jacoby Myers or do you put him on Brian Thomas Jr.? Because Jacoby Myers, ever since he got to the Jags, he's been their leading receiver. Trevor Lawrence has, I think I saw it on NFL Pro, Lawrence has the second most touchdowns since getting Jacoby Myers. I'm very curious what they do with Surtain. Are they going to give Myers his respect and shut him down, or are they going to put him on Brian Thomas?
I don't think you're going to see him. I don't think you're going to put him on either, like one player in particular. I think you're probably going to see him run with both of them. But they're both definitely people to try to take out of the game as much as you possibly can, as much as that is possible. But yeah, Jacoby Myers has been a revelation for them. And then Brian Thomas Jr., he kind of, after like really coming on hot as a rookie, he kind of didn't look as good this year, beginning of the year, but then he started to kind of pick it back up after Jacoby Myers got there. So maybe it was just like there was too much pressure, too much put on him in terms of like to be the guy.
He's gonna love
he kind of was like that last year. I don't really get it, but it'll be interesting. I don't think you're gonna put Surtain on either one of them. Like in terms of
Focus
you
solely
run
on
with
that.
this guy
Yeah.
and ignore everyone else. Like that, just they're too good for that to be the case. I think you're going to see him beyond both. This is going to be an interesting one. And then the other thing too that has kind of been a little interesting for the Jags is Britton Strange. Looks
Decent.
pretty interesting as a tight end, and that'll be something to monitor.
Yep.
I think he only has like one touchdown on the year, but he looks pretty decent.
You know, and I think that's where this we're going to see, I think, a bit of an interesting wrinkle for the Broncos defense. And that is where I think Jahdae Barron's going to really come into play here. And the loss of Brandon Jones, I think, is going to force is going to force them to where I think you're going to see a little bit of some PJ Locke, but you're going to see a little bit of some Jahdae Barron. Barron will probably still play a bit of his Joker role, which will be probably some of that linebacker, some of that nickel corner on some plays. But I think you also see him play some safety on a few opportunities too. And so I think that you'll still see him be a little bit of that tight end eraser. And I think that, that's one where, I wouldn't be the least bit surprised if you actually see him on Brenton Strange a little bit, or frankly, even Hufanga at times. Like I wouldn't even be the least bit surprised, if you see that. So I think that as far as the game goes, I think it is going to be a really good game. Like it is going to be a really good game. Maybe not so much like the 30 plus output, if you will, between, the Broncos and Packers that I thought was going to happen this last week. I did say 34. But I don't think it's going to be like some, offensive like shootout, that's like 30-30, if you will, or, 37-30 or whatever. But I think it's going to be a pretty solid game.
If we are doing final score predictions, I am ready to go with mine.
Go right ahead.
I do think the Broncos win the game again, which is, I know we had this conversation last episode.
Tough team to beat.
I'm expecting Denver to lose just one more time before the playoffs. It feels like a pinch me moment. There's no way this team can finish 15-2, but there's just no way.
Relatively speaking, too, because the Patriots lost, they can, in air quotes, afford to lose one.
Yes, and this season has been a pinch me moment, so I really can't envision 15-2 being, because that'd just be awesome. Hard. But with that being said, I do think the Broncos win this game. It's going to be a great game. I do have them winning 27-20 in front of the home crowd. Best home field advantage. And I feel like Bo Nix has another great game.
Brandon?
Cam, you can go first if you want to.
Okay. I will say I'll say 27-23. I will say 27-23. Bo has 3 touchdowns. I think that I think that I think the Broncos tapped into something post-bye, and that was working under center and being so successful. Whether it's been running the football effectively or not, they have to be under center when it comes to having some effective football, because it's evident when Bo Nix is in structure or even out of structure, he's a different quarterback, a very, very different quarterback when he is under center. And that's where you see a lot of that Auburn and Oregon Bo Nix type of player really come together as far as that super elite quarterback that everybody saw against the Packers. So I really think he builds off of this, and I really think we see another good performance for 27-23. And I think that we see another good Cortland Sutton type of performance.
Okay. I also got to keep it rolling, as much as I do think we probably will lose one more time. I'm going to say we win. And I think it's going to be exciting, and it's going to be similar to the Packers, and it's going to be closer. I'm going to say 30-27.
Game-winning field goal, 3 seconds left. Big Nuts Lutz with the game winner, kicking a 58-yard field goal. By the way, I will say this. We didn't get a chance to touch on this, though. The special teams angle is going to be a very interesting one to watch here. Not maybe so much from the Broncos side of things, but the Jags. Because they have a kicker.
Oh my God, he might bomb one from 80.
Yeah, they have a kicker. They have a new Brandon Aubrey, if you will, in the league. So I would not be the least bit surprised if the Rizzler has something up his sleeve where maybe Marvin Mims is back to try and return one or something on a field goal or whatever in case something gets missed.
He might get 75.
Risk. He is pretty ridiculous.
I actually kind of want to see.
That'll be fun.
I'll be there in person.
Yeah, I wouldn't mind. Like at the end of halftime, they're at like their own 45, and they elect to kick it. It's like an 80-yard field goal.
By the way, what was it? The playoff scenarios, right? The playoff scenarios ended up breaking through.
Yep.
What was it? Was it yesterday?
Broncos win, Chargers lose. The West is ours.
So, if the Denver Broncos clinches the AFC West division and the AFC's number 1 seed, lone first round bye, home field advantage with a Denver win plus a Chargers loss plus a New England loss, plus Buffalo loss or tie, if you will.
You know what's the best part? We will know going into our game if we can clinch the West because the Chargers play at 1 against the Cowboys in Dallas.
Yeah. And then obviously just clinching the West, Denver win, Chargers loss. So
I need that. Like I need air.
Yeah. So but undoubtedly, I will say this. Okay, since we're kind of wrapping up now, hypothetically, say it happens. Say it happens. I posted on X. I posted on Twitter, if you will, a scenario. Now, like I said, this is if they do it. Do I think they will? No, because it's just there's so many scenarios for it to happen. But if it does, how would you guys? What would you guys do in that scenario? Would you rather sit the players for that Chiefs game on Christmas night? And I shouldn't say all the players, but sit players for that Christmas game against the Chiefs on Christmas night, and then have almost a tune-up with some of those players against the Chargers, the final game of the season, knowing the fact you're going to have a first-round bye, so you have a little bit of that, game tune-up against the Chargers before you have that first-round bye.
Brandon, you want to go first?
Oh man, I don't know. That's a tough one. I'd say probably bench him and rest him against the Chiefs, which is crazy to think about. But
like, it's not an if that I don't think is going to happen, but it's something that I was thinking of.
Yeah,
Jordan.
I'm searching up something real quick just to see if he's done it before. I'm basically searching up has Sean Payton rested players in the last game of the regular season before the playoffs start. And I just want to – because you can kind of treat that – let's say if they do lock it up, you can kind of treat that Chiefs week like if it's a bye week. So, you don't want to get them hurt.
Maybe not a full rest, but just you rest some players, load management, some players.
So in the
preseason
2006 season, Peyton had already clinched his playoff positioning and rested his starters early in that final game, only playing them briefly at the very beginning. So kind of like a preseason game where they get a drive or two and then they sit out. But that's only in 2006. In other years, he has treated the final game like a normal game.
Well, how many times have they been the number one seed, though?
He hasn't been the 1 seed in, I don't know, let's see.
Because it'd just be the Saints.
Yeah, I'm very curious because the Saints have had some really good teams, but 2009 and 2018. So in 2006, they didn't even have the 1 seed, but he still rested the guys at the, well, not rested, but played them briefly like it was a preseason game.
So then look and see if he rested players in 2009 and 2018. For locking up the one seed, because it would obviously probably tell us that, like, if they ended up locking up that 1 seed, which they're on a trajectory for.
In 2009, yes, Payne rested his starters in week 17. Payne held out Drew Brees and other key players for the final regular season game against the Panthers, and where the Panthers beat them 23-10.
Year they won the Super Bowl.
Yep. And then 2018.
Is that the famous pass interference year? No.
I actually don't know. 2018, not very clear on it.
Okay.
But 2009, yes.
Interesting. Well, it's going to end up being something to monitor. And like I said, it's an if that I don't think is probably going to end up materializing, because there's just a lot that needs to happen. But if there's one thing you can definitely say about the said scenarios, it's not like they're gimmies. Gimmies in a sense for, it to, not go the Broncos' way. Like the Cowboys are going to give the Chargers a run for their money. And the biggest thing that the Broncos have in their favor is the Chargers are playing the Cowboys in Dallas. Like, it's in Dallas. And obviously Dallas is a bit shaky up and down, but they are a different team when they are playing in Dallas. So it's going to be interesting. And the Chargers, they don't look so good right now in terms of Justin Herbert and, that offensive line, man. That offensive line is injured, it's bruised, it's battered. It doesn't look good right now. The defense, you want to talk about a team. You want to talk about a team where the defense is quite literally carrying that team. It is the Los Angeles Chargers.
Yep.
So at least there's something in their favor. And then the Patriots, Brandon, are going to be facing possibly the red-hot Baltimore Ravens after the Ravens shut out the Cincinnati Bengals after kind of performing a little bit on a much higher note. Obviously, Lamar is dealing with a bit of the flu. I believe it was today was reported that he has the flu or whatever, but I think all expectations is he's going to end up playing on Sunday. But the Patriots are going to Baltimore. They're going to Baltimore for this game.
I think the Patriots win that, but it'll be interesting.
Ravens defense is bad, so. But they've picked
it up. They shouldn't be bad. They shouldn't be bad, but they are.
Yeah. But they've picked it up lately. I'll give them the credit.
Yeah.
It's the title of the Ravens season.
Yeah. Evermore. All right. Well, any other final thoughts? Broncos, NFL stuff.
All I know is the next time we'll be on here, I will know if the Hurricanes will be playing Ohio State, which is very nerve-wracking.
It'll be a fun time. Maybe what we do is we have Strez on, and we get a little bit of some Miami Hurricanes. And
that will bring back the old days, because there was a certain something that happened between those two institutions.
But college football playoff will be a lot of fun. Miami Hurricanes are going to lose their matchup, and it's going to be a lot of fun. Oklahoma will lose theirs. So yeah.
By the way, I don't know if you saw, John Gruden did predict the Hurricanes to win 33-21.
Jeez.
So I mean, I can.
Yeah. Jordan might actually end up being on cloud 9 if he ends up putting a call.
I will be. I might go to the Ohio State game.
All right. Well, thank you to everybody that was in the chat. Hopefully, people were gleaning from this episode that we hope that the people that were listening can finally give the Denver Broncos their respect that they deserve. And if they don't, that's fine. Totally fine, because instead of the underdogs, we're the overdogs. Make sure you hit the subscribe button for the MHRT Network page over there on YouTube. Also hit the subscribe button for the Mainly Broncos page. And on that MHRT Network page, as we said earlier at the top of the show, there is a membership. It's called Join. Right next to the subscribe button on that YouTube page for MHRT Network, there's different levels of that membership. Make sure you hit that membership. You can choose whichever preference it is for you. There is no pressure for what it is that you need to select. Make sure you also follow the guys. Follow Jordan at Jordan T. Lopez. Follow Brandon at Brandon Miller PO. Follow myself at Cameron Parker PO. And it's going to be a fun time as we are following the Denver Broncos playoff run, search for the postseason. And so it's going to be a fun time, certainly doing all this Broncos stuff. So make sure you stay along for the ride. And hopefully next week we're talking about a Denver Broncos victory again over the Jacksonville Jaguars. So without further ado.
Let's go Broncos! God bless Bo Nix!
Slurpee? Radical. Slurpee? Yeah. We're out of here.
Fast lane when I pass in the street, bag of money in the passenger seat. Tempo's been asking for me on the road from the west to the east. Way up, I might never come down, cause the coast's racking up the flight miles.